Today I'm going to show you how to fill out the Excel template with your own data for the EventBoard mobile app to get your data to us and uploaded into the app as quickly as possible. You received a zip file from us in an email, and in that package are two spreadsheets. One is an empty template for you to fill out with your data. The other is a completely filled out example that you can use as a reference. The spreadsheets have macros that can help you validate your data as you enter it. Be sure to enable macros if prompted, or select options in the security warning if you see it. So right now I'm viewing our demo Excel file for you to look at for reference, and I just want to go through all of the different tabs on the bottom. The first one is tracks, and the tracks worksheet describes the conference tracks. This is entirely optional. It basically covers a genre specific to a group of different sessions. This first column here, the U key column, you can leave that entirely blank, and they should be blank for every single tab. The following column, you're going to fill it with the name, and then the description, and then color is in hex format. The tags tab, this worksheet describes the tags that will be associated with conference sessions. Creating tags is entirely optional as well. For our demo, we tagged with lots of different things like iPhone and Android, Windows Phone 7. It's entirely up to you whether or not you want to do this. Again, leave U key blank. In the Rooms tab, it covers the locations of the rooms at the conference. You can either enter room names, so these don't have to be numbers, or you could enter room numbers. And then you may also want to enter the building if there are multiple buildings. That's really all that you have to do. You can leave the U key blank for now. On the Levels tab, what it's asking for is difficulty level. So level 100. So for example, e-commerce 101. The Time Slots tab is an opportunity for you to write down all of the different sessions and the specific start and end time for them. Something that you need to be aware of is that the name of the time slot should be something easy to read and remember. The most important thing here is that none of these overlap. So it's very important that all of the names are all different. You don't have lunch on one day and then lunch on the other day. Make it Monday lunch and Tuesday lunch. The date and time the time slot actually begins. Use US date format month, month, day, day, year, 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 year. Time can be specified with either a 12 or 24-hour clock. End time is exactly the same. The Audiences tab describes the audiences a session may target. This is also not required. The Speakers tab is a worksheet that sets up conference speakers. This is absolutely required. Again, you're going to leave the column blank, the first column blank. However, first name, last name, and as much other information as you can fill in is better. So if you know the company that they're from and their title, if they have a URL that links to their specific a biography about them, and then additionally a bio as well would be perfect. If you keep scrolling over, you also have an external image URL. The most important thing here is to please make sure that you include an HTTP:// before every image, and they also have to end in JPG or PNG. If you have a Twitter handle for each of your speakers, include that as well. You'll note that we don't use the @ symbol. Additionally, you'll see that the names that you've entered in the columns B and C show up here later. Just leave these alone, don't delete them. There's a reason for that as they get placed in another section of the spreadsheet. Moving along to the Session Type tab. This is a list of sessions at your event. An example could be keynote, workshop, regular session, social event, etc. You can follow and configure any session with a certain session type to automatically appear on everyone's personal agenda. This is common with keynotes and social events that everyone should attend. So to go over the columns, leave column A alone. And the name column is just the name of the session type. Description is the description of the session type, and this is optional. And then show on agenda is either true if you want all sessions of this type to appear on every attendee's personal agenda, or false if you don't. Again, true is for things like keynotes or social events where you want everyone to attend. Use the session survey in column E in the event that you are having a survey. This should be named whatever your survey is actually called, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Under the Session tab, this describes the sessions at the conference, and this is also required. You leave the U key alone for column A. Column B is just the title of the session, and then a description of the session. This is optional, however the title is required. And then the level. This is to specify the level of the session. If you remember earlier, we looked at levels 100, 200, 300, and 400. If we go over to session and we scroll over, we can see that we've done the same thing here. We have level 100, 200, etc. The room should correspond directly with the rooms that you have already created as well. And you'll see that once you've entered the rooms under the Rooms tab down here, back under Sessions, you can actually choose the room from the drop-down menu. So that should make things much easier to remember. Same with the time slot. With the time slot, you'll be able to choose from the drop-down menu all the times that you had previously entered. So it's important to work from left to right in the tabs. For the speakers, specify a speaker for the session by entering their first and last name. The first and last name must match a first and last name on the speaker's worksheet. Specify multiple speakers with a / between names with no space. So an example, as you can see, is we have John Waters / Lance Bullock. Some sessions do not have speakers, so this column is optional, but recommended for most session entries. For the Tracks tab, if you filled this out earlier on the first tab down at the bottom left for Tracks, you'll see again that they show up in the drop-down menu and you can choose from there. Tags, same thing. If you fill them out, they'll appear here and you can add them. Again, similarly to the speakers, if you have multiple tags, just put a / without a space in between them. For the Audiences column, if you designated different audiences, they'll show up again in the drop-down menu here and you can just add them as you like. Is sponsor session should actually just be ignored, as well as requires registration and registration start date. If you have a specific code that you want to use to identify the session, you can use it, however this is optional. You'll notice the same thing with the session type, is that if you had filled it out in the tab previous, then they will show up here. Otherwise, it's optional and there's no need for it. The session status is used internally, so please leave it blank. Also leave sponsors blank. For the show on everyone's agenda column, make sure that they say true. Under sponsorship levels, these are the levels of sponsorship at the conference. Setting up sponsorship levels is entirely optional. Please leave column A alone and blank. And if you do have different sponsorship levels, you can name them maybe gold, silver, and bronze, and then a description of what kinds of companies fall under each category. Then also please be sure to rank them in the order that you want them to show up. So 1, 2, and 3. If you have an internal image that you want to be using, you can also add an image for the sponsorship. Otherwise, it's unnecessary. Under the Sponsors tab, this is a list of the conference sponsors. Again, this is entirely optional. Leave column A blank. Column B, the name of the company, a description, the URL for the company, a logo if you need it, and then the sponsorship level, which corresponds to the previous tab. So we have gold, silver, and bronze in this case. Twitter handle if the company has one. Writing true in the showcase column will result in the company's logo being displayed on the home page of the app. False, the company's logo will not be displayed. Under floor plans, use this to link to a floor plan image, which would be a JPEG image. These can also be uploaded directly through the admin portal if you don't have one at the moment. The resource type is used internally, so leave it blank. The name is the name of the floor plan you're uploading, and then the image URL should be a direct image to the JPEG or PNG file representing the map. These can also be uploaded through the administration portal, and it is optional. The Exhibitors tab is currently in development. Look for a separate Exhibitors feed in a future version of EventBoard. If you would like to collect feedback after each session, enter your questions here. It's important to remember that these are session-level questions, not conference-level questions. So the questions that you ask should be specific to sessions, but in a general manner, as they will be asked across multiple sessions and not just one. Some good examples are: rate the session overall, did the content meet your expectations, please rate the speaker's presentation skills, and etc. The is answer required column should be set to true if you require an answer to this question before submission. The default value is false. The question type is the type of question to ask. Your options are 5-star without any space, yes, no without a space, text, and long text. 5-star would be rate from 1 to 5 stars. Yes, no would simply be a yes or no. Text is a short answer, and long text would be a long answer question. Under the Surveys tab, name your survey. So we've named it Session Survey. So you'll see in the survey questions, it's named Session Survey. And then again earlier, we see under the session types that Session Survey is also written out. You should be sure that this is the case for whatever you name your survey. So this concludes building out the worksheet. As you go through it, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email or come back to reference this video. Additionally, everything that I've covered in this video is in the PDF document that you received in the email from us. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing your data, uploading it, and getting it ready for your event.